Hey guys, Silven here. I apologize in advance for the noise in the background. It's my fans, really hot, whatever. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a guide on how to build a Bunker Guardian, not just play one. I'll be doing some other playthroughs later on how to do it. This is going to be purely how to make your Bunker Guardian, because firstly, like, so you can do it yourself, so you can understand how I get to certain conclusions, how others get to certain conclusions on what to run. So when you're in a game and you need to think on the fly, you need to be like, maybe there's two Necros and you're not sure what to sub out for Contemplation or something like that. This guide is going to show you exactly how to do that. So exactly how to start up, and why I pick certain things and why other people pick certain things. And then on top of that, it's going to, like have all the optionals and what you can choose instead of certain things. Okay, so first off, let's just quickly go through the most important thing ever. Sigils. The biggest way to avoid damage is through dodge rolling. Like, you avoid 100% of that damage. Obviously, like, immobilize, and some of the pulls can stop you from dodge rolling or pull you out of dodge rolling. But the most important thing is that dodge rolling dodges all damage, 100% of it, including trebuchet shots and stuff like that. So when you're playing a bunker, you have to have 100% of builds. Every single bunker build you ever make, except for some, niche plays where you might have a team fight. Or maybe you're versing like all melee team and you choose to go icy instead, so they can't hit you at all. But apart from, those silly little things, you will always run an energy rune on your main set and on your secondary set. One on each, because sigils have a recharge, or certain sigils have a recharge, sorry, in which no other sigil with a recharge can activate in that time. So a sigil of energy has a 9-second recharge, no other sigil of energy can activate in that time. So if you have two sigil of energies, one of them will activate, and they will both share the 9-second recharge. And the ones on your other set will also have a 9-second recharge. So if you have the minus 1 second weapon swapping, then every time you weapon swap, you'll still get it. But if you I don't know if it's possible. I'm pretty sure it's not. But, like, let's just say you have an 8-second weapon swap time. If you weapon swap to one weapon, 8 seconds later weapon swap to another one, only one of those energy ones will activate. But that's not the case here. So one energy on each one, no matter what you're running. If you're running sword, shield, hammer, you'll have one on each set. Okay, that leaves limited options. So this is pretty much the only thing you can't really choose. Then you've got the limited. So I can quickly go here. Then the limited options would be you can choose the ones that stack. So the Bloodlust, Minor Accuracy, Corruption, the Blood Golem one, or the Golem one, or whatever it is, or the ones with permanent effects. So something like this, all the ones that increase condition duration do not have a recharge. All the ones that increase critical chance, damage, the durations of things. So the fixed ones, and then these ones here, the stack ones. They will always be a good option. So something like, and on the ones on kill, so gain swiftness on killing, gain health on killing, which I don't advise at all. Will give you. The ones that won't work will be the sigils of nullification. I'm pretty sure this has like a 9-second recharge or something like that. Things like the might one is an option. Where is it? Yep, this one, the critical chance on critical to gain might. That has a 2-second recharge. So if you weapon swap in that time, you do not gain your energy. So I would avoid them. But there is those plays where maybe you're really good and you understand perfectly how to use them, and that's cool. Like, you can go with that, but I would avoid them. So first off, make sure you have, we'll just get them now, 2 energy runes. Okay, so we have an energy rune on each set. And the other ones I'll go through later, so your second 2 options I'll go through later, or 1 option. Okay, so when playing a Bunker Guardian, it is not all about defense. So most people will just think, okay, this is originally what I thought as well, and pretty much what everyone thought when they started. I need to hold the point. What's the best way to do that? Well, just stack defense. That's not actually, it doesn't actually work. Like, someone who has enough damage or has too many conditions or something will just kill you. And so what you have to do is you have to have some form of offense that you can stop the enemy from just killing you. So the options really, like I use the term damage loosely, and for me, if you hear me just say damage, quite often I'll mean damage and control abilities. So like when I say you got to damage the enemy, I, like, you know, either damage him or control him in some kind of way, or dodge him in some kind of way that he can't do damage to you. So for example, using a hammer, knocking the back constantly away from you, let's say it's a warrior. Now he can't, you know, 100 blades you because he's over there. Maybe he popped his frenzy. Well, there you go. He's lost all that damage. And instead of, you know, trying to heal through that, you've knocked him away and he's gone over there. Now, obviously, if you think about it, the best way, like if you're purely only defense only, which is a bad thing, let's just say you were going to do that, mace, either shield or focus, and staff would be your weapon sets. Now the control and damage on those is actually very, very low. It's very low, but it gives you the most defense and healing. So obviously in some niche builds, again, like if you're like sitting there team fighting the whole time, let's say you're on foe fire, and you have the strategy where people sit around the edges and you stand in the middle, which is a valid strategy, then that's a viable thing to do. You can go full defense and people can just shoot the enemy and stuff like that. But apart from that, you have to have some kind of control, because you will be in 1v1s, you'll be in 1v2s a lot as well. So you have to have some kind of control to stop the enemy from damaging you. And so you have to find a balance between the two, and that's what I'm going to go through now. Okay? So firstly, our weapons. The most defensive set, with the most protection blocks, healing, will be your mace shield or mace focus. So if you're like need that kind of bunkerish feeling, you don't want to play too much on the offense or anything, you always want something to fall back on, you'll want one of those. You want a mace and either a shield or a focus. But that's kind of not what I'm really going to go for. I don't really do that anymore. What I really do now is I go a lot through control, because what I do is I control the enemy off the cap point, because in a 1v1, if you're against a bunker who's just defense, you'll win. Because you get the cap point, he can't kill you, you gain points, he's useless. That's the most important thing, like being able to 1v1 another bunker and have the point in your favor, that's really important. Okay, so weapons. There's no weapons here, what am I saying? Okay, sorry about that. I'm not wearing any armor, so I wanted to go get it from the shop. Okay, so first off we'll go through the mace. Okay, so the mace, obviously you have your, you know, you heal, your block. I'm not going to go through all the skills on everything, because, you know, that's not what this is about. So what the mace does is it doesn't bring any control, but it brings defense. So it's sort of like a fallback option. That's what I kind of think of the mace. You need the symbol to heal up and stuff, so you don't open up on your mace set. You can't open up on your mace set because all of it's healing and blocking. There's no need to open up on your mace set. So when you're running one, you have it as your secondary set. So when you know you start losing health and stuff, you start using your blocks and your heals. There's no need to burn those cooldowns straight away in the fight. There's no need for that. Unless obviously they're trying to burst you like straight away and you've got to defend. Okay, so obviously the best coupling with that is either the shield or the focus. So the shield, you know, stacking prots is crazy. So you can get your prot strike, and if they don't hit you, you get your prot, and then you get your shield judgment. I think it's shield of judgment, and then you get the prot from that. Then you got like 7 seconds. I'm not actually sure. It's 3 with the virtues would be 7. Yeah, so there's 7 or more seconds of protection straight off the bat without using any utility skills, without using any, you know, other skills. And obviously the knockdown is really, really important. I've tried running without a shield many times, and I keep finding it's possible sometimes to run without a shield, and I'll go through that in a sec. But what happens is you miss stomps, you miss reses and stuff like that, because you know that you could knock them back at that point. They don't have stability, you're not blind or anything, and instead you're just stuck on the focus, like you're on a very defensive set. But there have been times where we verse like, there was this time where we versed like 3 assassins, 2 guardians, sorry, 3 thieves, 2 guardians, And then obviously I'm just going to run like Great Sword, you know, Scepter Shield, Scepter Focus or something, because you have to defend against the burst. So Focus is so good against burst, and Shield is like an all-round purposes kind of thing. Conditions though, no offhand is going to protect you against conditions. The only thing you can do is you can try and protect against projectiles that inflict conditions with Shield of Absorption. Protect against the normal damage so that you're only focusing on healing against the condition damage with, you know, protection. Or you can try and protect against attacks with the Focus 5, sorry. So the Focus 5 will block either projectiles or maybe symbols on the ground or something like that. But the Necromancer ones are unblockable, unfortunately. So if you're trying to like heal, and that's a problem I'll talk about later as well. So that will go through your focus anyway. So your focus does have a some kind of heals, and you know, like the Focus 4 is really unreliable. I don't really like it, but it's still useful. And of course there's the Torch, which is the worst because you have to have a defensive option on your offhand. You can't, because, you know, like all it is, it removes conditions. It does a lot of damage, yes, but and it does inflict burning as well. But when you get spiked or something, Shield of Absorption will knock back your enemy. You know, like there's the spikes over. You can interrupt your enemy before it even happens. You can interrupt your enemy's heals and stuff. The Torch is purely offensive, and it can support your allies by removing their conditions, but it won't remove yours, and yours are the most important. Okay, so you know that's the Mace Shield set. Then the next most important weapon you gotta remember. I don't know why it's not really.
Shiny.
I don't know what's happening. The sword. The sword teleports you back onto the point. That is what the sword is for. There is no other reason for a defensive build to really bring a sword. It doesn't do enough damage. That's the big problem about it. A scepter will out-damage a sword because you don't have those catch-up skills as a defensive player. But it teleporting back on the point to keep it is very important. So to rate the single-hand main hand weapons, I would say scepter, sword, mace. That would be my order. So you know, teleporting back onto the point, like, and on Kylo, you cannot go without a sword. You cannot win without one. Judge's intervention can help you, but with the what is it, 10-second recharge of getting back up to the top of the point, it's crazy. Like you'll never lose the point that way unless you chain get knocked down. Zealot's defense obviously blocks the magical projectiles. Sorry, the range attacks. You know what I'm saying. So like if you're getting hit on by a ranger or something, you can actually just use Zealot's defense and it will block all the attacks. That's a really important one. Most people don't even know for some reason. They didn't read the skill, or they don't remember, or something like that. And obviously it's actually quite a bit of damage. Obviously on DPS builds, it's the most damage you can possibly get. But on this, it's obviously not, because the Great Sword doesn't scale as well as the single sword, because the sword gets right hand strength, it scales like crazy. The Great Sword doesn't scale as much, but it's still good. That's not for this video, though, just if you're wondering. Okay, so to choose your weapon sets, I'll put them this way really easily. Scepter is for control and keeping your enemy at a distance. This can put your enemy at 0 damage if they're melee, or a very reduced damage, because lots of abilities will be like near the enemy, and you'll also be able to keep them there so that other enemies can attack them and stuff like that. So that one's really important for control. Sword gets you back on the point. That's the big important thing, so you can't lose the point. And mace is purely defensive, like heals you. Okay. So I'm just going to go with my option really quickly, which is the scepter. I don't know what's happening here. Alright, scepter shield. So this is usually what I run, scepter shield. Depending on what I'm against, I might run something different. Now, your second set, it depends entirely on what your first set is. Like, you can run two-handed set, two weapon sets. So you can run like sword, focus, scepter, shield. I have run that a lot. It's actually really good, because that means you have the ability to get back on the point, plus the sword focus is a really high damage set, plus you get 2 sigils on that. So you get like an extra sigil, and you can put on a flame one, and your DPS actually skyrockets. You can actually do a lot of DPS with this. But what I like to do more now is to control the enemy, so to keep them off the point, because versing bunkers and stuff, you're not going to kill them with the sword focus. It's not going to work at all. I mean, like bunkers if they're like yourself. So instead, I would run a hammer. So the hammer, massive control. Banish, as soon as you get them off with Banish, you've got Zealot's Embrace, Ring of Warding, and then Chains of Light. You got this massive control, and even if you need a Shield of Absorption. And the thing is, if they have no counter control or they've used it, that will capture the point. 100%. From neutral, you chain those skills, you get the point. And if they don't teleport back on or something. So if you waste all their utilities by cancel casting, for example, watch this, just hold on. Like this is a big thing in Guild Wars 1, not as important in Guild Wars 2 for some reason. It's really important, people don't pay attention to it. Okay, so you press 4, and then you press escape. You notice the animation comes up, and you can even wait a bit later to cancel it. So then they react to it. They put up their stability. There goes their utility. Next time you knock them off, they don't have stability to stop you. And then when they try and come back on, you can actually control them long enough to just gain the point entirely. So that's a really important thing, and that's why I run the hammer on my Bunker Guardian. Other ones, I actually don't run hammer on Foefire. And the reason is, if I can find it, there we go. The Greatsword does tons and tons of damage. Foefire is won by AoE. So to win a Foefire match, you have to have tons of AoE. So changing little things in builds on all of your characters, players in the team. So like, you know, instead of running a thief, maybe you run a ranger. The necro, maybe he doesn't run the wells. Maybe he just has the res and does some form of other condition damage. But on Foefire, you have to run the wells. And maybe you got a single DPS guardian point holder. He will have to run a greatsword. You can keep the hammer if you really want. But what I do is I run a greatsword. So I get this extra damage, I get the pull, which can pull, because what we do quite often on this map is I stand in the middle, everyone stands around the outside, not always, but sometimes, so that they have to target me on the point. They can't AoE everyone, they can only target me, and they can target single targets up on the cliff and stuff, but then they have to move on to the point, and then we AoE them. So that's a big thing tactically like to do. And with the greatsword, you know, the AoE is much more substantial than the hammer. And obviously it has slightly less control, but because the point is so big, it's really hard to control people off of it if they know how to stay on. Okay, and then of course there's the staff. The staff is to a degree good, and I run it quite often. Because when you're running like high amounts of heal, it heals so much. Like right now, I'm not spec'd completely, but like 2.3k, and it goes way past that. And if you're running altruistic healing, you can get like 5-7k heals out of it. It's crazy. But because it has no control, basically what you're doing, for example, if you use Banish on 100 Blades, he's wasted all his utility, and he got no damage out of 100 Blades. If you use Empower to try and overheal it, you're going to end up like negative 11k. So you're going to lose 11k health instead of losing 0 health. So that's a big thing where control comes into it. So yes, the staff is the mega heal weapon, but it doesn't have enough control for you to survive against most burst classes, or even just DPS classes. Like you can put other things with it, so you can go Scepter Shield staff is sort of viable. Sword Shield staff can sometimes work, but again, you're not having enough control. You're not putting out enough damage. But sometimes, like I've tried Sword Shield staff, and it does work sometimes. And on Kylo, you can get a cap out of it with Line of Warding. Can sometimes work very well. Did I miss any weapons? No, I don't think so. Yep. So that goes through the weapons. Now, everything has to have an energy rune on it. Minor accuracy is generally your best friend because you'll be making use of your crit damage from Valor if you're high spec in Valor. And even if you're not, crit damage is pretty much a very good source of damage. Bloodlust isn't as strong as minor accuracy. And life is very weak. Don't worry about life. you can spec enough healing power, like even with this cleric's amulet here, you can spec enough healing power for life to be just a waste, and it doesn't make that much difference. But if you really think that it will, then by all means do it. Okay, so now we'll get on to building. Okay, so to build the Bunk Guardian, Zeal is not really your friend. You can sort of get like, you know, your symbol for an extra symbol heal. You can get some extra DPS with Fiery Wrath, but really it's not too strong. It's not what you really want. Now there's two big ways to spec a Guardian. Or actually there's sort of 3 or 4, but like I'm gonna go with the two big trait lines. So Valor and Altruistic Healing. Sometimes people use Mug's Focus, not good. You need support in the middle. It doesn't matter what you do, you need to be able to support. Pretty much you need to be running shouts. You can run some meditations, like Contemplation, sometimes Smite, pretty much 1 or maybe 2 limit, but you can't run too many because it's too, I don't want to say selfish as in like, you know, you're detracting, excuse me, from the team, but you're not being as strong as you could be with shouts. Okay, so Altruistic Healing in a Valor 30 trait line, and then you got Purity is pretty much a default. You can't take away Purity. It's too strong of a trait, and conditions are your weakness. And so no matter what, Purity is important, unless you reckon you can deal with it with Contemplation, and you're going to switch it to Meditation 1, the Meditation Mastery. Okay, and then you'll want to get Honorable Shield is a good one. Retributive Armor is really good, and it's the one I usually use, so I'll just put it as that. I switch this to the Meditation Mastery if I need the meditations. Okay, or 1 sometimes if I really, if I know it's just like a giant condition, if they just stack it on you and then just hope you die, then you remove it, then that's all you need. But like usually I have Purity. Okay, and then you got to decide on your utilities. So Signal of Resolve and Shelter. Now this is a gigantic debate on which is better. Originally I would just be like, hands down Signal of Resolve, because, you know, Shelter only blocks a little bit and you can dodge instead of blocking. But recently I've realized you can't. You have to, not have to, Resolve still works, and it gives you 2 condition removed every 10 seconds, but Shelter stops the burst. And if you're running a high health build, so if you're running a Soldier's Amulet, Resolve is fine. As soon as you go more risk, which is what I'm going to talk about in a sec, so as soon as you go more risk, you have to run Shelter. You can't run Resolve at all. Like, it's impossible. I can't run the build I'm running today, which I'm going to show you soon. I'm leading up to it, with Resolve. It's impossible. So with Resolve, generally, some people would like to get Signet Mastery. I don't like to do that, but you know, it's a really good skill. Like 8k healing versus 5k is different. Okay, here, two-handed mastery. I like it's pretty much a default on mine because I like to have the hammer recharge as low as possible. Shouts, I usually use shouts. But the thing is, you can change these, obviously. So the big ones I'm gonna do today are 30-20-20, 30-30-10, and sorry, it's 5-5-30-20. Okay, so that's ignoring Zeal completely. So that was all ignoring Zeal, and for the first 2, it was ignoring Radiance as well. Okay, because when you say defensive build, most people will say like 30-30-20 means the last 3, because you know it's a bunker build and you know you're not putting any points in Zeal or Radiance. But I do that on one of my builds. I'll show you soon. Okay, so this one I'll just go with the 30-30-10 one. So 30-30-10 uses Pure Voice, Altruistic Healing, Meditation can if you really want to. So your options here are Retributive Armor or Meditation Mastery, Superior Area, or you could be going Symbols. So, so Symbols, if you're going Symbols, you go 3, 10, and I think it's 7, yeah. So 3, 10, and 7. and that gives you larger symbols, longer symbols, symbols heal. That's like a crazy one. And with altruistic healing, gives you a lot of healing. And then you go with either Vengeful or Master of Consecrations, right? So like if just a normal triple shout build, so like, oops, like this, then you'll have Vengeful. But if you're doing something like this, then Master of Consecrations. So if you're getting a Consecration, then obviously you'll get Master of Consecrations. There was one time I remember I used Consecrated Grounds. We're versing a team on Kylo, and they had 2 Rangers and 2 Necros, and I basically run that so I could put Sanctuary on the windows to push them off, and then teleport to the other window and use Shield of Absorption to push them off. And so it ended up being like, you know, they're all on the ground, we had all cap points, and it was hilarious. It was really funny. But apart from something like that, you can't really do it. Okay, so then the other option is obviously, so let's just do the standard one with Triple Shout. The other option is the Pure Voice one, which you'll be running with Soldier's Runes, because every time you run Pure Voice, run Soldier's Runes. 2 condition removal is crazy good. That's pretty much not an option. So Two-Handed Mastery, or Empowering Might. So every time you get a crit, you get the Might. That's good. Okay, so that's your basic 30-30-10 one. With that, you'd set up as... Let's quickly put my armor on. Yes, I have 7 Guardians. 7. Okay, so this has already got Runes of the Soldier, so that's what I want in this build. These have the wrong mods on them. So I put energy, whoops, let's go. Oh, with this I usually actually run, wait, what did I put on? Let's say I'm doing a symbol one. So with the symbol one, I'd be running Greatsword. You need easy access to symbols for this symbol one. And then you go Mace Shield. So you, like, you know, you can, the best way I prefer to do it, if you need a lot of DPS straight away, you start off in your Mace set, put up your symbol, switch, put up your symbol, and then bang. And you get like a ton of damage, and you got your shouts obviously. The second way to do it is to chain symbols. So you put down your symbol, and then you put down your symbol of faith again, and then you put down symbol of wrath. So you can continuously have that healing, damage, and retaliation or regen, like continuously, as much as you possibly can. Remember, you got a 9-second or 10-second recharge or whatever it is on your weapons. So when you're doing this, you'll actually find you can't just quickly switch weapons every time. You'll actually have to use 2 mace then 1 greatsword, 2 mace and 1 greatsword, 2 mace and 1 greatsword to keep them up. Okay. Then the next one I like to use is the Triple Shout. Okay, so that good at removing conditions. And with Triple Shout, I would run something like you can pretty much run anything with the Triple Shout one. So, you know, just the standard ones, the Scepter Shield, Hammer. That one works with the Triple Shout one. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do, so that's the 30-30-10 options. The next one I'm going to do is... Oh, another good one is Justice is Blind. You can actually like drop this for Justice is Blind. I've done that a few times. It's a really good skill. A really good option. Okay, so the next one is the 30-20-20. So it's another altruistic healing one. It's pretty much the same kind of setup. But then you get your second virtues, which is, these are really good, really good effects. Okay. Actually, I think I usually run something different here. Hold on. Ah, yes, the healing. Okay. And this one, you have 2 options. You can go, because you don't get your shouts to remove conditions anymore, you actually switch to Earth Runes. 4 Earth Runes, 2 Divinity, or just 6 Earth Runes, depending on which you prefer. More damage or more survivability. And with this, you go the condition removal. So your Virtue Resolve will remove 3 conditions, and that one's a really good one. The only negative is constant conditions. For example, if you're versing a Necro, this is good against a Necro. Versing a Ranger, it's not so good. And I actually often ran this. So with Contemplation of Purity. And with this, I always run a soldier's amulet. Sorry, we'll just go quickly get one.